Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And this is for anybody that has a business, responsible for a business and its growth, or even if you're an individual that wants to up your game as a professional or even just increase your brand awareness. You could be a real estate agent and want to take it a couple of layers higher. The way to do that is video. I'm truly meaning the way to do that is video. It starts with video, then there's other things that come after that. What do I mean by that? You have a great video. Now you've got content for social media, ads or posts, organic. Same thing for other types of social media, TV commercial, YouTube, all it starts with video. It's just not me making this up. If you look at the stats, video consumption is huge. And that's why this guy is here today, because there's nobody that knows video like Graham Duval. And he's back to talk about strategies within the video for your business. Graham, welcome. How you doing?
Hey, Steve, how's it going? How are you today?
Doing great. Doing great. And the power of video, if anybody is watching this, well, there you go. There's one type of video. It has exploded in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is my feeling because of COVID. We were, locked down, looking for stuff to do, kind of bored, couldn't go out really. So what did you do? You were on your devices watching video, and it's almost like the video bug bit us. And now we all look at it, we expect it, and we expect quality video. But with all of that, there's a strategy. Of course, you need great video, but what do you do with it? So let's start with that today.
Yeah, most definitely. I couldn't agree more. There was video stuff before, but like it definitely really took hold because of that reason. Now people expect to see, like, if you want to be taken seriously, it's no longer a luxury. It's definitely a necessity for any growing business, and having the quality videos behind it. And more than just like throwing things up too, which is where I think a lot of people tend to miss the mark on it. If you're not actually thinking about how to maneuver this landscape, it ends up being, you might as well not even be using it at that point, because you're just not hitting the mark. So strategically thinking about what are these different types of platforms, what are the different avenues that we can go, and strategically think how you can connect with your audience, because that's such the whole point of it, is that personal connection, that value that you can add, and that's where you start to build that trust.
So let's assume that you're going to have or create great video content. Somebody's hired you. We know what to expect. We can see your work on your website, which is what, by the way?
Valudproductions.com.
And that's VALUD, right?
UD. Yep.
Productions.com. So we got the video lockdown. We'll get to that. We'll go a little bit deeper in that in a moment.
Yeah.
But the strategy behind it, do we want to look at the different platforms and what the strategies may be?
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's a great idea. The biggest thing is that there's an opportunity right now, and harnessing that opportunity is something that I highly suggest business owners take, where like, and who knows how long this is, it's kind of a trend, but not really, is that all the major social platforms, they want a vertically shot video. Like, it's the thing that is driving a lot of these social platforms. And because I remember when I first started, to get a video to perform on all these different platforms, we had to export on multiple different formats. So like, it was like square for one, vertical for another, 13 by 18 for another. And now you can just take that one video and post it across all the majors. So like, starting there is always a good place to start, because that starts to get you used to consistency and constantly showing up and thinking about ways to provide value. So that's going to be a good place to start, and really what we like to call the top of funnel type content. It's going to be the stuff that just goes really wide, it goes really far, it goes out to the masses, and grabs that attention. So that's really the first place you really want to start with this strategy. Is we got to go wide. And if you're thinking about it as a funnel, you know, like an upside down triangle, that's going to be the top piece to it.
When we say going wide, we don't necessarily mean widescreen, first of all.
Yes.
And to your point, I know a celebrity photographer. He takes, you name it, he does it. There's some celebrities they will only allow him to take the picture. I spoke with him, oh gosh, it must have been like 10 years ago. And I'll never forget him saying, whenever you shoot video or anything, make sure you make it horizontal, because everybody used to do it the other way. And you wanted it to fill, you know, a screen. Now it's more the other way, because that's where most of the consumption is in video. So when we talk about the top of the funnel, are you referring to doing or shooting all of this footage? We have all of this, and maybe this is our big grandiose branding video, which, by the way, I'm not talking about a Steven Spielberg 2-hour flick. I'm talking, you know, that could be a minute, and it's well produced, and it moves, and it's got everything that you need, perfectly edited by you. It's got great audio, music. It just flows. It's fantastic. It could be a minute and a half, whatever works.
Yeah.
And then from there, are we talking about, all right, now we're going to edit that down to Facebook video. Now we're taking it to an Instagram. Now we're taking it to Snap, and on and on and on.
That's a great question. So ultimately, when we think of top of funnel, it would be more the type of content. So yeah, we could take the brand video, and which is going to be filmed in that horizontal way, because that's going to be something that is going to use not on these vertical platforms. And it has switched to, because most people watch it on their phone, we want to now fill that whole screen, and that's where that vertical comes in. And so it's the way it's used. So we could cut up the brand stuff, like a brand video, and put it into some social content, but it would still fill that vertical aspect ratio. And it's more like quick clips, like quick pieces of information, because what we're doing is we're just grabbing attention at this point, because at the top of funnel, that's all it is awareness. And then when you think about it, it's like, you know, almost like going through a strainer, like when you're doing spaghetti or something, you know, maybe some gets through, and so that top of funnel, eventually everybody's going to see your stuff. The people that are actually going to start get interested, they're going to then move down to the next level, which is where we're going to start having some more in-depth pieces of content, which sometimes can be vertical, but it ends up being more like in-depth, something like a frequently asked questions, or we're guiding them to the website, where that's where you might see like a brand message video or something, because if they just land on the website, that's going to be the first piece that they see. So that's kind of that middle of funnel section. So that's kind of what we mean by funneling down, is we're filtering them down, the people who are actually interested in, from what they've seen and what the viewers have seen of your business. So ultimately, down at the bottom, when they make a decision, and that's when they buy your product.
So with this first video, top of the funnel, shot horizontally, when you want to do lower in the funnel videos for TikTok, Snap, whatever it might be, Instagram, they're more of a vertical shoot.
Yep.
Are you able to take the horizontal, and I think back in the day, they used to call it push in. Are you able to get what you need?
That's exactly. So some things we film directly in vertical, which is just like it's so interesting, especially as a video producer. It's so odd, like taking your big camera and turning it sideways to get that view. But really, what I try to do is I just use markers on my monitor and have it marked off of like, okay, as long as my framing is good for the whole frame, and then I'm keeping the subject in the middle within these markers, I can then, like you said, kind of punch in and crop it down to be used for that top of funnel stuff. And then we can use the main framing for, like, if they're going more in depth and we're only taking like a piece of it for socials or something like that, we still know that the framing's in to be used for that type of content.
Well, that's where the difference in you comes in with the video strategy, because you're planning it out. So here you are shooting a client, and we've got this footage, that footage. Oh, you know what? There's a hypothetical here. Their dog is really cool, and he's part of the business. He's the mascot. You know what? That would be great on an Instagram video. I'm going to turn the camera, make it more vertical, get a couple of quick shots, maybe of let's say it's a exterminator, and he's the termite sniffing dog. So now you're going to flip it around, and he's walking around. You're going to get a close up. You follow him, but you do it in a vertical format because that's great for a reel, 20 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever it might be. But that's the planning. That's the strategy, where a lot of other video producers or companies don't think that way. They just shoot the video as it is, and then, well, let's edit it. And, whatever comes out, comes out.
Exactly. That is one of the biggest things that sets us apart is when I work with clients, is they know that if we're creating consistent content each month, they know before we even do any filming, like, these are the things that we're going to get, and like how we're going to do it. So like, okay, we're going to get these pieces, but it only come from a couple days of shooting, because we're going to shoot some of these things in horizontal, but then make cuts. But some of them we're actually going to shoot in vertical. We're going to do these pieces. Everything's going to be planned out. You're going to be able to see exactly how it's going to all work together, which is, like you said, it's not just coming in and like, oh, okay, we're going to create this nice video. We have it. Now, maybe we didn't even know that we were going to need it for something else, and now we're trying to cut it up. So like, there's no plan behind that, which is,
Coming from your line of work, it's got to be one of the worst feelings when you say, oh, we should have gotten a shot of that. Preparation is everything, right?
Most definitely. It's funny. It happens. I definitely find myself doing that. It's like, oh man, that would have been so good to get. And but for the most part, as far as like the strategy of everything goes, we make it work to get those actual results. But there's always something where like someone will come up with something, and then it's like, oh man, where's my camera? I didn't have it. And but we make it work.
Sometimes that's a good problem to have, even though you might not have the footage for that. It shows the creativity.
Exactly.
So, and I'm sure if you're thinking, oh, well, we could have gotten that, more times than not, you get what you need, but it just means that you're being even more creative.
Most definitely.
And there's more to work with. You're always getting that, banking that footage. And
such a key thing. I tell my clients that all the time. They're like, I don't want that. I don't know if I want to look that, or like, I'm like, don't worry. The camera's rolling. I'm going to get everything. It would be much easier for me to just not use something than get into the cutting room and be like, oh man, I wish I would have had that piece, and know that we were there and the camera wasn't rolling. I do that all the time.
And just to clarify even further, you're never going to use footage that wasn't approved. So even if you did get a shot of somebody, doing whatever, you're always going to, even if you what do you call the first edit? Is it called the first edit?
Yeah, the first edit or the first round
First
of revisions. We
okay.
call it round of revisions.
Okay. So even if you include it, in your opinion, this might be kind of cool to put in there. Somebody can
Yep.
always say, you know what,
Exactly.
that's not my best look, or that doesn't show my business in the best light. Edit, it's out. There's no problem.
Exactly. And that's part of what I do with my clients too. It's like we're not doing any sort of live broadcast here or like live television show. Everything is it has the ability to go to the editing room where we're able to put it together. Everybody gets final review and final sign off before something gets put out. So it is most
Sure.
definitely yeah.
Some of the best footage is probably those times where it's not even planned. Like I got to believe that there's been some times where you're holding the camera, having a conversation with somebody, and you're rolling, and so you get some good
Yeah,
stuff that you might not have gotten otherwise.
exactly. 100%. That is, yeah, the kind of fly on the wall, candid stuff. I love shooting like that because
Yeah.
then you get that natural raw emotion and because sometimes when a business owner is trying to like think a little too hard of like how they want to show the business, but their passion shines through in what they do, they might not necessarily be able to convey that as well, even though I try to pull it out of them as much as possible. If I can get them in their natural habitat and then just kind of be a fly on the wall, I'm able to capture that emotion and that way that they work with their clients and like really highlight that. And they're not necessarily thinking about that there's a camera on there. And so
Hmm.
we tend to get some good footage that way and put some really cool things together.
You remind me of my friend Greg. I went to high school with him, and honestly, my broadcast career started there because we the the school approved higher quality video equipment.
Mm.
And that was the opener, and I started doing some cool stuff. But he was the videographer and the photographer. I'm talking high school here, but they
Mm-hmm.
would refer to him as a sniper. And I mean that in a positive way
Yep.
because you never know when he was taking pictures, but he got some of the best shots, like low angle, high angle, side, or whatever.
Exactly.
For the interesting shots that you do, where have you placed a camera? And
Mm.
what were those scenarios? By that, I mean, you strapped a GoPro to a blank and you got this or whatever.
Yeah.
Any memories come to your mind?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So I mean, we haven't done too many crazy like snapping a GoPro to a dog's head or something like that. But there is a client that I have that they're actually a med spa, and we've gotten some pretty like close up stuff of like skin work and
Huh.
different like facial stuff, like macro shots of like really cool stuff. Some of
Hmm.
the services they offer, and those just I really like those kind of things because it's like you're blowing up into the eye of something that tends to get taken for granted, and they're not they're not really seeing what's going on. I mean, they're seeing it happen but not to that extent.
And as you're describing it, I'm seeing it. So let's say they're doing hypothetical here,
Mm-hmm.
laser laser skin treatment or
Yep.
whatever. And now you're very close into the procedure, seeing the
Yep.
laser. And it's not anything that's, going to queeze anybody out. It's just,
No.
it's just shooting points of laser into skin. And this is what it looks like. But in a macro, very close view of it. I
Yeah.
think that's really cool. I've never seen that
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Super cool. Like actually maybe having a little bit of haze so you can see the laser. And then like it actually puncturing the skin. We've done that, or like they do this needle treatment. I can't
Micro
remember what
needling,
exactly micro
micro needling.
needling.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly. And like seeing it actually work, I was like, wow, that is impressive. Like as I'm like looking at it from both angles, but from behind the lens
sure.
and over the lens, and it's just like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Well, to your credit, I know those shots aren't easy because
Mm,
the focus is so critical that,
so,
one little movement, you probably had to shoot quite a bit of footage to
yep.
get that sweet spot. It's like, oh, we're in focus and it looks good, right? Got it. Got it.
Exactly, 100%. Because like as the needles are moving, it's messing with the focus. So I'm like trying to adjust it. And yeah, you're right. It took like a minute to 2 minutes of actually filming to get maybe like a few seconds of something that actually was usable.
Well,
But yeah,
that's where the best description here, and I think it's an accurate one, the master craftsman of video comes into
mm-hmm,
play. You
mm-hmm,
know, you know your tools like a saw as a
yep,
craftsman, and
yep,
you know how they act and react, and you got to take the time to get it done right. Um, the process with you, Graham, if somebody's thinking about doing a video, obviously they reach out through your website,
yeah,
but you're in Maine. Can
mm-hmm,
you work with people in other parts of the country? That's my first part of the question. The
yeah,
second part is there anything that you can do for somebody where if they don't have the budget to fly you to them,
mm-hmm,
where, and go with me on this, where you could use stock footage, but also intersperse either photos or even if they took a shot of themselves with their phone,
yep.
basic, I'm talking basic, but make it work if it's decent enough.
Yeah, most definitely. That's a great question. Yeah, I do work with everybody across the country. I have clients in California, Florida, New Jersey. Um, and some of what we do is we even leverage virtual filming where like some of the social media content type stuff, that top of funnel vertical type stuff, I'll get a camera sent to them. I'll be on the call with them. We'll coach them through. We'll do all the scripting and all the strategy and all the everything that goes. They just have to be there with the camera. We'll get all these lights sent to them, which they get to
Cool.
then keep, which is all part of the package because now their calls on help level that up a little bit. And then we just be on the call with them, getting it filmed. That's pretty simple type stuff as far as just like us coaching them through it to be able to create that kind of content. But then when we start getting into the further, like longer form piece of content, brand stuff, we do go out onto set because I mean, we need to be getting like regular footage of like the business and people interacting and site shots and things like that, which we do a pretty good job of incorporating everything into a full project budget. So it's not like different extremities. It's like, oh, this also. It's just more like this is our project. This is going to cover everything. And then as far as like we break things down as well. So having just editing services where you might be able to have some of those photos and you take a video on your phone of yourself or something and you want to send it in, and then we'll put some things together, maybe adding some stock footage and some graphics and things like that to really make what may be a phone video pop and be more useful than just like someone's phone video because that
Right.
yeah it's yeah
Well,
it's just
there's
so
so
much
many
better. Yeah.
post-production things you can do, pop in the color. Of course, we don't suggest just going by phone only, but if you're
No.
located somewhere else, and I know that you'll work with anybody in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Graham is from Maine, where it just
Yep.
snowed. So if you're in the Bahamas, we strongly encourage you to reach out to him.
Exactly.
What's your website, Graham?
Yeah, my website is valudproductions.com, VALUD productions.com. There's a contact form there. You can go fill it out, and then I'll be in touch with you. And it just starts with us having a conversation because what we're going to do is we're going to work the best for your best needs. So go
Awesome.
ahead.
Yeah. Love your passion shines through. And
Awesome.
you are a video master craftsman. That's period. That's that
Steve.
sentence there. Always great
Appreciate
having you
you.
on.
Likewise, Steve.
And there's massive value in you in helping people grow their businesses and their brand. And again, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.